All right, here we go. Back to recording, back to bcNdc. Today is June 30th, 2020. Last day of freedom in Oregon. How do you guys feel about that, you know? Everyone having to wear a mask tomorrow, wherever you go. I mean, I guess you don't have to wear it when you're outside, but if you go in any building, you're gonna have to wear a mask. How do you feel about that? Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it. I think it's infringement on your rights, personally. Maybe it's for a good reason. Maybe. It's yet to be seen. I'm not an expert on the whole COVID thing, but like most things, like most Americans, I have enough knowledge to be dangerous. What we do know, that's my bones on here, is a lot more people are getting it, but still less than 1% of the entire world population are dying from it. I think that's an important number to kind of think about, because contracting it and getting it and dealing with it and sure suck. They're not great. It's worse than the flu, yes, similar, yada yada. I don't know. I may have had it. I don't know. I may not have had it. Don't really know. And that's the thing, is like, so the numbers are going up because we're testing more too. The numbers are going up because maybe because of the lack of social distancing. It's hard to say. I kind of hate those key phrases anyway. I think they're fucking ridiculous. They're just nice little catchphrases. I don't know, and I don't like the idea of Americans policing each other. I really don't. I don't like this idea that we're going to tat-a-tell on each other, and that, we get to tell other people to wear a mask or not to wear one, and somehow we sit there and get to choose for them what their rights are now. It's very bothersome to me. I really don't like it. I really don't. I just, it's a complete infringement on your rights. And, we're all entitled to have our opinions. I just don't like the idea that somehow something, legally could happen to you if you don't wear your mask. And right now it's not, but at the same time, we're heading that direction. And it's just it's ugly. I just think a lot of it's where people just don't want to admit that they were wrong, and so they double down. I think it's very hard for a politician to admit they were wrong, or just to say that, we made a mistake. This is the best knowledge we had at the time, and we did what we thought was best, and now we have new information, and now we're going to change our opinion and do what's now the right thing to do, instead of doubling down. It's like a bad relationship. You're only going to continue in it because you've been in it for so long. It's like, well, that's no reason to continue it. It's maybe a better reason to stop. It's like one of those things. It's like, you're already in trouble, so you're going to make it worse. I don't know. Anyway, it's not really what I came down here to talk about, but it's kind of funny. Kind of hits on something I was thinking about, though, because I wasn't sure if I was going to record again. Really didn't have it in me. Woe is me, right? I'm not the one that died, but emotionally I feel very dead inside. And I just, I don't know. I don't really have any passion for life anymore. I know that I need to be here for others, and the hurt that I would cause if I were to go. But I don't really like being here. It's actually gotten more torturesome to a certain extent. It's like I dream about him every night, and I wake up without him, and it kind of makes it worse, because the dreams aren't really bad necessarily. Sometimes they're kind of a mixture of a memory and whatever my dream state is wanting me to see. But a lot of times there are things that that are exactly what we did. Where I'd kiss his cheeks and stuff, and he would kind of turn his head and giggle, and just mess around like that. And I had a dream like that the other night, or whether it was last night, and then I think I told you guys about where when I used to put him to bed, he'd always grab my hand and pull it to his chest, and then just stare into my eyes. And I had that image in my dream, I think, kind of, I don't know, or maybe it was just right when I was waking up. That was my first memory this morning, waking up, and I don't know. It just makes me. I've become really cynical lately and kind of angry, and I've been just kind of. Not necessarily pissed off at the world or that kind of stuff, but just in general kind of angry, and so it's funny. A lot of things have been going on with the podcasts that I listen to because I listen to podcasts for many different reasons. From Rogan, he was obviously he was the first one I listened to, and sometimes rather for just a good laugh here or there, depending on his guest. Most of the time, just some just really good conversation and some really good information, and with him, I really kind of started searching through his guests when I first started getting into him. And anyway, just started going back through his backlog, I guess, and so, holy shit, he interviewed this person and that person and so on and so forth, and just really been entertained by. Hang on a second, I'm going to shut my door because I'm getting a little cold. So, anywho, and so anyway, I got, I started listening to more podcasts, and I got into, whoa, did you hear that? Little technical thing. Anyway, I started listening to, excuse me, the Church of What's Happening Now, and that's Joey Diaz. Excuse me, that was a gross one. It's one of Rogan's best friends, and I started listening to him, and he's cocksucker, motherfucker. He's a Cuban Jersey boy, and he's pretty foul-mouthed, but he's funny as shit, and he's also his other nickname is Uncle Joey, because a lot of people look up to him, and he's had a shady past, but he's a good dude now, and that's what's important, right? Because it's like I had a shady past too, and I feel like I don't know what the fuck I am anymore, but I was trying to be a good dude. So anyway, listen to him a lot. He's pretty funny. He's pretty open, he just says it like it is. He doesn't hold back, and he curses a fuck ton. And but he's silly, he's funny, talks about farts and shit a lot, and just stuff that makes me giggle. And but he tells all these crazy stories from his childhood and stuff. And he had a really rough childhood. His dad left when he was really young, or died. I can't really remember. Because I think he was born in Jersey, but his parents are full Cuban. And then his mom died when he was like 14, 15. And he was the one that found her. And it fucked him up. And So you can only imagine what that do to someone. And then he was basically on his own, and some of the aunts or uncles that tried to take care of him weren't very good to him, and then they sent him to like a Catholic school, and they just treated him like shit. And eventually he just ended up being out on his own and kind of living on couches and shit like that at friends' houses and what have you, and just finding his way. And so on the way of finding his way, he committed a lot of crimes and just didn't give a fuck because, life had robbed him from joy. And so anyway, he's a good listen. And he's done some fucked up things in his past, but he's one of those dudes that owns up to him. The only reason why you know about his fucked up past is because he tells you about it. It's not because someone else outs him. He outs himself. And I started listening to other ones like Bill Burr. He's just super funny. He talks a lot about sports and shit. But he has probably the quickest mind in comedy. He's very, very smart. And but he curses a shit ton too. He's from Boston. Same as Rogan. And he's just kind of an old school throwback comic in a sense that he's not worried about offending you. If it offends you, so be it. He don't give a fuck. That's not his job, is to worry about offending you. And it's the same thing with Joey Diaz. If it offends you, he's kind of proud of himself. And it's not that he's out there to try to offend you, but it's just at the same time, it's comedy, and the idea of comedy is to make fun of everything. And that's why I listen to a lot of these things, because I think everything should have a point to where you can make fun of it or at least laugh about it, because life is really fucking hard sometimes. So to find that silver lining is very important. So anyway, another guy I got turned on to is Theo Von, and he's super funny. Probably my favorite comedian besides Bill Burr. I'm not really sure who is more of my favorite because they're totally different. Super fucking funny. Theo Von is from Louisiana, and he's similar to myself too, to a certain extent. I have these similar feelings about these different guys for different reasons. Why I have connections with them and stuff is like Theo Von grew up very poor, and his dad was really old. His dad was 70 when he was born, and that's crazy. His mom was like 36, I think he said. And so he talks about his life on his podcast and about his sobriety, because he had a cocaine issue, and he's now been sober for like a couple years, and he talks openly about his addictions with that, and he talks openly about his problems with commitment and relationships and sex and these different things that he's just open with. And he's just very honest, but he's super fucking funny. And I really connected with him. I really like him a lot. He's a really good dude. So his is called This Past Weekend with Theo Von. Great podcast. He does interviews a little bit more and more, but mainly does them by himself. And then before that, of course, I was listening to The Fighter and the Kid, or TFATK, if people know it. It's just the abbreviation. So The Fighter and the Kid is also more of Rogan's friends, and an ex-UFC fighter, and a guy that's been around in acting and a comedian for 30 years or so. Brian Callen, and they're really funny. It's a good banter because they got a good little banter going. They play off each other, and it's pretty funny most of the time. A pretty good show. It's just entertaining. It's nothing really too serious. They talk about a lot of dicks. They talk about people's sizes of cocks, like that's important or something, but it's just a goofy man type show. But they do talk about UFC, and they talk about just comedy in general and just different shit. Really nothing in particular. They do cover like current events and stuff like that, and they're kind of silly. And that spun off a show called King and the Sting, which is Brendan Schaub from The Fighter and the Kid, and Theo Von from this past weekend, Theo Von. And that one's actually really funny, more because of Theo Von, but the two of them together, it's pretty damn silly. Theo roasts the shit out of Brendan a lot, and Brendan is he's pretty funny on his own. He's not as witty as Theo, and you can tell, and he's always fucking getting the upper hand. But it's a pretty funny show, and they got like their thing called the Culture Corner, which is their assistants and whatnot helping them out, and they call it the Culture Corner because it's a black man and an Asian woman and an Asian man that work the computer circuit boards, what have you, fan mails, whatever. I don't know, whatever, like mail. Anyway, emails, whatever, stuff like that. And super funny show, really silly, and it's always nice to listen to them because it makes me laugh. Same thing as like Tiger Belly, which is super funny dude. God, why am I not thinking of his name right now? What a dick. Jesus, I can picture his face. Anywho, why can't I think of his name? It's Tiger Belly. Come on. What the fuck? Can't I think of his name? Asian dude. He was on Mad TV. Super funny guy. He'll come to me later. Who cares, right? He probably cares. He would never hear this. But anyway, listen to them. They're pretty silly. And Jim Florentine, I can't remember his, is like Everything Is Awful. He was on that metal show, and he just shits on everything. I used to find his show kind of crass sometimes and kind of annoying. But now, I find it enjoyable because, I guess because I'm in a shitty mood, and so it's just nice to, he just shits on all the silly things that people post about on Facebook and stuff like that, and Instagram or whatever else, and people send him stuff about people complaining or talking about certain things, and he makes fun of it, and it's pretty decent. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. Which leads me to the last guy that I've listened to a lot, and he's always made me laugh. And he had just a super silly show. Did it by himself. And I'm not saying these are the only shows I listen to. There's a few others I listen to too. Of course, I listen to one of my favorites is Jordan Peterson. Please check that out. Jordan Peterson podcast. It's pretty much for anybody. It is for anybody. He's doing the thing right now called the Biblical series, but I'm not really into that. But he does a lot of stuff. Basically, he's a clinical psychologist and therapist. He's ex-professor from Canada. I can't remember which school in Canada he used to teach at. But anyhow, he goes around the world now giving these great lectures and speeches and what have you. And anyway, he's just a great mind for all of humanity to listen to. His perspectives on things are pretty amazing. People tried to pin him as a right-wing guy, which he's not at all. And then other people tried to say that he was a misogynist and not caring about transgender issues, and it was completely misunderstood what he was talking about. And that's how I kind of got turned on to him, is because of the controversy around him. And then you start listening to it all, and you're like, he's right. He's not. He never once talked bad about any transgender issues. It was about a law in Canada they were trying to pass to make people call people by their by the pronouns they prefer, and making it a law. And he was just saying you can't basically invade free speech and make people say something that they don't need to say or that they don't think they should say, or you know what I mean? It's like it's an invasion of freedom of speech was his argument. And they took it as like, oh, you're against transgenders. He's like, no, I'm not against them at all. It's the furthest thing from the truth. What I'm against is you trying to dictate what I can and can't say. And I really like him a lot for that. But anyway, back to this other guy, Mr. Silly Pants. Because that's what he called his show. He's like, it's just Happy Go Silly Show. It's we just goof off and we silly here. and all that, and it was. I laughed a lot with his show, and I'm going to miss it. But, why his show is going off the air, right? Or why he's being canceled, as they say. You know, he's the cancel culture is the new thing. And that's basically, but that's beyond the point. And let's talk about this guy. So it's Chris D'Elia. So for those of you who don't know who that is, he's a comedian as well. And I probably heard about him years ago doing the Bieber roast. When Justin Bieber got roasted, he was one of the comedians, and he's one of Bieber's favorite, was his favorite comedian, which kind of explains a lot, I guess. Anyway, he's just got in trouble recently. And it's something that's been going on. It's been a pattern of his for years. And he talks to young girls, whether they're right at 18 or on the cusp of being 18 or right around that age. He has an infatuation with those types of girls, and he's way too old. And so I think there's a term for it. It's not pedophile. There's another one that's typed some kind of a file. I don't know, but anyhow, some of the girls that have had encounters with him and were releasing these different messages that were between the two of them and putting them out on the social media platforms, and it caught traction, and so now he's kind of gone silent. I mean, he's released one thing, kind of not rebutting, but kind of releasing more of the conversations that he had with the girls, the parts that they left out, I guess. I don't know. It's very sticky because he's not married, but he is with his significant other, and just recently had a child. And anyhow, it's a real bummer. It's weird how you think. You can think you know anyone, but really you don't. You don't really know what they're thinking. But it's just a bummer. It kind of bummed me out. But it started to make me think about cancel culture and lust versus love, and the fine line of those two, and sometimes how a lot of people get those two mixed up. And how we've all been guilty of that, especially when we're younger. And then I was sitting there thinking, like, well, maybe some of us, when we're younger and we don't know that, and we haven't figured out the difference between lust and love yet, and somehow we've confused the two and made them into one. And then as we get older, become adults, we just continue the patterns, and then we wonder why we're single at certain ages or unhappy. And I think it's because I think love can be easily defined once you've experienced it, but until you've experienced it, it's very hard to define. I guess it's always hard to define, but it's one of those things like, because a lot of people, I guess what I'm trying to say is in passionate relationships, sexual relationships, what do you want to call them, when you're having sex, a lot of times that's when the emotions are at their highest, and you might even feel most in love with them at that moment, but that really is lust. It's not necessarily love. It's like having sex while you're in love with someone is always better, but it's not to say that it can't be good without, So in other words, like, sex can be just sex sometimes, and then sex with someone you love can also be that as well. Anyway, it just started making me think about that, and why Chris D'Elia was so fucked up and doing what he was doing, and just thinking, like, does he not know the difference between love and lust, or has he just been filling his plate with so much lust that he took it too far, obviously, like in a sense of, well, it's obvious, he may have just a psychological problem, but just thinking like that he couldn't feed that appetite enough, it got worse, maybe, you know, like just having women falling over him wasn't enough, and then just having multiple women and so on and so forth, and always moving on, and always having another wasn't enough, and then maybe just wanting to get younger because it was just another forbidden fruit for him or something, because it was just too easy getting the women he was getting. I really don't know. I don't know his psychology, but it's definitely a psychological problem, you know, that, and just simply like his was, if you look into it, it's like, it's pretty obvious that he knew it was wrong, and he was trying to hide it and shit, and trying to go through different channels and using his friends' phone numbers and names and, you know, different email addresses, and trying to use things that he thought were wouldn't last, wouldn't be on the internet or computer forever. So anyhow, you know, yeah, so he's gone. So started making me think about that and the whole cancel culture thing. Like, so in other words, like if you do something that people don't agree with, now that his could be borderline illegal, so it's a completely different thing. But in general, like, I don't know if he should really entirely lose his entire career for that. Like, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, that should someone's life be over because they have a psychological issue? It's hard to say. I mean, you know, people are saying he was grooming these girls, and that's could have been the case. I don't really know. So it's hard to say what we should do with him, we as a society. And that's the thing, is like we as a society kind of choose. I know that ultimately the judicial system does what it does for the legal matters, but as far as like him being a comedian again, or doing movies or acting or something like that, it's kind of up to us, right? Whether we forgive him or not by getting ticket sales or what have you. Things like that have happened to other people in the past, like Pee Wee Herman. He jerked off in a movie theater, ended his career at the time, and now he's acting again. So, you know, it can come back around, but I mean, it did take him 20, 30 years to get his to get back on and on the screen. So I don't know what our forgiveness levels are for certain things. And it's funny because Pee Wee Herman was jerking off in a porn theater, so weird, you know, that he would be aroused in a place where they're showing people having sex, and that he would want to fucking relieve himself, like he'd be the only one ever doing that in said place. I don't know. Seems kind of like that. Seems like that what would happen there, but that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So Crystalia, yeah. It's a bummer. I don't really know, you know, what he was fucking thinking. He obviously wasn't. But anyway, the whole idea of cancel culture, though, is kind of interesting, right? Like, so I listened to some of these podcasts even today, like The Fighter and a Kid, and some fucking lady, she did something. You know, everyone's calling women Karens now for doing whatever Karens do. And she didn't do something super egregious. Oh, this is what it was. Oh, it was one of those women that was asking these dudes that were helping out after the riots and were boarding up windows and helping out rebuild some of these buildings and businesses that got fucked up during the rioting. And there's some of these women that were asking if they could use some of the tools for a minute for a photo op, you know, so they could post them on Instagram or whatever. Like, hey, I'm helping out. And some woman got caught doing that, and then they found out that she was a news reporter, so they fucking fired her. And even the Fighter and the Kid are like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. They're kind of like agreeing that should happen, when they were just saying that the cancel culture thing was fucking wrong, and then they just basically just said it's okay with this woman. Seems like it wasn't okay when it's their friend, but it's okay when it's just a random woman. So it's just interesting. I was sitting there thinking that myself, watching it, just going, so it's okay when it's someone else, or when it's something that you disagree with. And I don't think that woman should lose her job because she was being a dumbass, or any of these other people that lose their jobs because they voice an opinion, or this college professor, or not professor, but coach or whatever it was, that lost his job recently because he was wearing some sort of pro-political fucking shirt or something of some fucking, I don't know which one. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't he be allowed? And why the fuck should someone lose their job because they have an opinion on something? Jesus Christ, people. We're really going to shut other people down, not allowing them to make a living because we disagree with them? It's okay to disagree with someone. It's okay to have differing opinions than another. It's not okay for someone to lose their job because you don't agree with their opinion. It's fucking stupid. Who the fuck are you to tell someone else they can't work and make a living because of the way they think? And just because they had the balls to voice it. You know what I mean? Who the fuck are you? You think you, as these people that shut people down, you have that right? Really? So then it gets to happen to you then too. That's the thing, is that once you make something that's okay, it's only a matter of time to where it's you. Because we can all be canceled for something. And that's the point. Making mistakes, some of them are too egregious. Some we take too far. Some you can't return from. But most we learn from. Or I hope you fucking do. Because that's what really, one of the things about life, what it's all about, is if you don't learn from your mistakes, then what the fuck are you doing? You're for sure bound to repeat it again. You know that story. But the reality is like, they're learning lessons. It's what makes you better. It's okay. And it's one of those things that it's completely okay because we all fuck up. And it's not how you fuck up, it's what you do afterwards. It's what you do next. That's how you're valued. That's how you're fucking judged. Is not all the things that have happened to you and all the fucked up things you have even done yourself. It's what are you doing now? So what are you doing now? Ask yourself that. Yeah. Because I started thinking about all this stuff, like from the COVID bullshit to George Floyd to the riots, to Chris D'Elia, all this different shit that's going on, and then just, people policing each other, shitting on each other for wearing the mask or for not wearing the mask or whatever it is. It's just, I don't know. It's like we just can't wait to shit on someone else. We as a kind of overall society, like most human beings in America, are just waiting to bite someone else's head off. Give me a reason to be shitty to you, basically. Like, I can't wait to shit on you. It's like, wow, how did we get here? Or have we always been this type of thing? You know what I mean? Is it because we no longer kill things on the basis because we're animals, and only a few hundred years ago we were just killing shit for our survival, and now we have to almost kill each other, but we do it in other ways, because we're still animals and we can't emotionally process certain things, and we think we're so evolved and we're so civilized, but really we're fucking not. Because you start trying to look at murderers and rapists, and, well, maybe not rapists, but certain murders and certain acts of violence, you go, oh my God, how did they do that? Oh my God. And not realizing that you're fully capable of the same fucking thing. Who knows what your psychological breaking point would be, and then once you reach what you're capable of doing, you have no idea. You don't. So it's just one of those things, like, it's so easy to judge another and thinking that you would never do that. It's like, well, of course you never would, because you're not fucking them. Duh. Anyway, yeah, I just started thinking about that, like this whole stupid mask thing, and it being tomorrow, it's our last, we have to wear a mask everywhere. And I thought being a smart ass and getting like a Halloween mask and all that kind of shit, but I don't need to draw any more attention. It's just I'm just upset about it. I'm frustrated. I don't want to deal with it, but I know I have to. It just angers me. It's just frustrating. Fucking, people not thinking for themselves. It's just, I don't know, it's irritating. Anyway, and just how so upset some people get over both sides, you know. I'm a little irritated by wearing the mask. Personally, I haven't worn them. Anyway, but just funny how you can see how other people react, how they get uncomfortable if you're too close to them, or if you're one of those assholes not wearing your fucking mask. How fucking dare you? I just kind of giggle. I'm like, so you get to decide for me? That's cute. So when do I get to decide for you? Because I think you need to start wearing your pants around backwards. It's just what I think. It's just something I think. So therefore, I'm going to tell on you when you're not. I'm going to report it. You're not wearing your pants backwards. It's just silly, is all it comes down to. It's like, who the fuck gives you the right to tell another person what to do? You know. And we're going to police each other and be fucking just selling each other out. And I don't want to use the word Uncle Tom because that's not correct, but, you know, brown shirt, whatever you want to call it. You're going to just fucking just constantly out your neighbor. What kind of society is that? Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know. I'm not down with it, man. So I started thinking about that, and I kind of recorded last week with my buddy and his girlfriend, but they were both drunk, and she didn't know she was being recorded, and I listened to it, and it was pretty good. Parts, I mean, there were some really bad spots. I mean, it was some, blanks, and I was asking them questions, and they didn't respond, and then he was like, so what do you want to talk about? I'm like, just ask you questions, dude, you need to respond to. But anyway, we were talking about Cuba, and it was pretty interesting. And anyway, afterwards I started thinking about that and started thinking about, people like and label things, especially this, this latest movement of that, what was that? That was Chaz. Fucktards. Making an autonomous zone. So funny because they ended up hurting each other and stealing from each other and robbing from each other, and someone got murdered, and the next thing you know they're calling for police, which is the thing that you right, interesting. Or how immediately you put up a wall, which is hilarious, right? Your freedom autonomous zone, you immediately put up barriers around it. And then you hire goons to monitor said barriers with weapons to keep police and others out, undesirables. That seems pretty peaceful. Seems pretty democratic and I don't know, seems pretty progressive. Seems very liberal. Seems very understanding and open arms, very loving. No, it's you fucking kids are you just don't know any better. And this always comes from an older person, an older fuddy-duddy like myself, and I'm not even that old, I guess. But at the same time, it's one of those things like, you don't realize how dumb and young you are until you're older. And it's just a fact. You're just dumb to the world. You don't know enough yet. And you always think that you're being righteous and you're just following your gut and everything else. And it's like, but you're not listening enough. You think you know so much, but really you don't know shit. And so it's just kind of silly, these little fucktards running around thinking they have a better idea of how to run a society. And all they do is trash buildings and do all the fucking horrible crimes that modern society does. They didn't show themselves as any better. They show themselves as the same and somewhat worse. And so it's like, you fucking idiots, you don't know. Stop trying to pretend like you got answers. If there's a better way, we'll find it as a collective group. Okay? It's not going to happen by a younger group that they're just going to think of something we haven't thought of yet. Maybe. But generally it happens when all of us kind of go, yeah, that seems like a good direction to go. kind of like we did with, you know, gay and lesbian rights and with civil rights. And that's the thing, is like, the leader of the civil rights movement, in my mind, the one that made the shit happen, the one that really made the difference, was Martin Luther King. And he's an important figure in history, and something that everyone should kind of revisit right now. Because right now everyone's kind of going towards, you know, Malcolm X style or Black Panther style, or not even them. They don't even have that kind of nuance. They're not even that well thought out or that well thought through. It's more of just to be violent to be violent. And the funny thing is, it's not by a lot of black people, I've kind of noticed. It's by Antifa and by a lot of white people that feel guilty for their whiteness, which I don't understand. I don't understand how you feel guilt about something you were just born into. That makes zero sense. Like, I guess I have guilt about my past and stuff, and I felt shameful about being poor, shameful about certain things, you know, the not having a father and lack of knowledge about a lot of things, and just being shameful. You know, I had a lot of shame. But just like with my color, I didn't choose that. I didn't get to choose the color of my skin. Didn't get to choose my sexual orientation. Didn't get to choose my gender. Those things kind of just, you know, right? That's with all of us. We don't choose that. You just don't. You don't choose what you're attracted to. That's in you. You don't choose what you're born with, what your piecework is. You don't choose. And you don't choose the color of your skin. You just don't. You don't. And so therefore, when Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Do not judge by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character." Can we fucking do that? Can we give that one a fucking shot? Huh? Dum-dums? You want to give that one a roll? Because that works. Because like I've said before, I have two categories for people. Asshole, not an asshole. I prefer the not an asshole category. If you're an asshole, I gives a fuck what your race is. Gives a fuck what your color of your skin is. Gives a fuck who you fuck. I don't care about any of that. I just care if you're a good person or not. If there's somewhere in you that has a good soul. You may have fucked up a lot in your life, but you have this big heart, and you want to do better, and you want to do right. And you actually want to, and you're trying to. You're still a good person in my book. It's the ones that choose to be a bad person. Just say, I don't really want to fucking work at life. I'm just going to be a loser. You know, shit on others, use others, never do anything for myself. Just kind of, you know, floating around in life. You know, I'm not such a great person, you know. That's the thing. It's like, you know, and like I've talked about before, it's like being a racist is just simply hating someone because of the color of skin. It's not a black-white thing. It's all racist. And it's really dumb to categorize it really smallly like that, but it is just a simple thing. You don't like someone because of the color of their skin, so you're a simple-minded fuck. Sorry for you. You know, you don't belong in society because you don't think well enough. Your brain isn't developed enough. If you stop at skin color as a basis of judging someone, holy shit, does your elevator not go all the way up? I mean, dude, you're not intelligent. You're just not. If that's how you base anything, like, what the fuck? Scary. And there are people like that. Well, whatever. They're out there. And there's nothing I'm going to say, and there's nothing you're going to say that's changing their fucking mind. They are who they are. A lot of times they are who they are for, you know, systemic, you know. Their dads or moms, whatever, you know, kind of taught them how to be a racist piece of shit. Other times bad things happen to them. They just categorize it as the others did it to me. You know. But a lot of the times it's just simply not taking responsibility for yourself and not living a life concentrating on just doing what you do and doing you and not giving a fuck about what others do. You know, it's one of those things, like, I truly think, when I was talking about Cuba with my friend and stuff like that, and communism and Democrat and Republican and liberal and conservative, and your fucking labels can just fuck off in my book. That it, you know, it started making me think, like, okay, if I was going to be a part of a political party, what would I be? I really thought about it. It kind of came to me. It's pretty easy, really. I'd be a freedomist. I'm into freedom. I'm into fucking you doing you. As long as you're not harming someone else, why can't you do that? You got a good reason? I don't either. That's the thing. It's like, you should be free to do and think whatever you feel. Like I said, as long as you're not infringing on someone else's freedoms, have at it. Do it. You know, war on drugs and all that shit, it's obviously not working. I've discussed this before, so I don't need to go over that again. But it's just, there's so many ridiculous things, and I guess, I don't know, I was just getting pissed off because I don't know, I'm mad about life. I'm mad in my own situation, and so I'm kind of venting on how fucking ridiculous other people are being because, well, you know, I lost my fucking son, and so it's like, when I see people complaining and whining and pissing and moaning about just what I deem as simple things in life comparatively, because that's how I view them, because that's, well, that's the truth in my book right now. And people are being fucking simple, you know, and it's just wrong. I don't get down with it. I don't like it. So, and then, you know, and I don't know if you guys, I've told you guys before, but I'm an MMA fan. I like the UFC. I've liked it from the very beginning, and I don't think I told you or not, but I took martial arts as a kid, and just I kind of always been into it, you know, like most boys were into ninjas and shit like that when they're kids, and I was too, and but there's a lot of UFC fighters, because I don't know if you guys know, there was, you know, they were trying to say that they're only professional sport that was going at the time, and that wasn't true, because Supercross, which is my favorite sport, was going, and you know, people weren't really talking about it because it's not as well known. But anyway, they were the other sport going, and so I watch a lot of both. And there's certain fighters complaining about money and getting paid more and this shit. And so, you know, listening to these guys, it was kind of entertaining because it's like, one of them just signed a contract like 6 months ago, and then he's complaining about how much money he's earning. It's like, well, then why the fuck did you sign that contract 6 months ago, you retard? What the fuck's wrong with you? It's just stupid. It's like, I don't know. And especially during COVID times when no one else is working, and it's like, you should be thankful that you have a job. You should be thankful that the profession you're in is actually still going. What a moron. I just didn't get it. And there's more than one, but the one main guy, I was like, he is a fucking dumbass. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I guess I've just been, like I said, I've been pissed off, so I just kind of felt like I was going to vent a little bit. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I just figured, what the fuck? I don't really care. So anyway, with this whole, you know, current thing that's going on with, you know, BLM, Black Lives Matter, and the aftermath of George Floyd and so on, and the other gentleman in Georgia, I forget his name off the top of my head right now, the gentleman in Atlanta at the fucking Wendy's drive-thru that was just drunk, that just really just should have been given a cab ride home instead of shot in the fucking back. Yeah, shot in the back. Anyway, it's this white guilt bullshit that's driving me nuts, you know. It's like, stop it. Stop it. Stop fucking saying that term. Stop fucking feeling guilty about your skin color, you fucking retard. Knock it off. Knock it off. Fucking just, you're annoying. And it doesn't do any fucking thing. It's just lip service. You know? It just is. You're just trying to shine a light on you, acting like you're not part of the problem, when in my opinion, you are the fucking problem. And you're the ones that are saying, like, if you're silent, you're part of the problem and all this kind of shit. It's like, shut the fuck up. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're actually part of the problem. So if you don't know what it's like to be black, then don't talk about what it's like to be black. I'm not about to. I'm not about to tell you what it's like to be black. I have no fucking clue. I don't know what it's like to be black and be pulled over in a car and have that feeling they have. I don't know, because I'm not fucking black. And don't we as white people pretend that we fucking know. Stop it. Stop fucking trying to pretend. You know, let the people that have the stories tell their story. You tell your story, but let other people tell their stories, right? Don't try to tell it for them. Don't try to feel bad for them or fucking fight for them. You know, have their back, no doubt. But don't be out in front. Don't be the spokesperson. Who the fuck are you to be talking about Black Lives Matter when you're white as fuck? It's just, stop. Fucking stop. Stop feeling so guilty about your color of your skin, and stop trying to speak for other people. Let them speak for them fucking selves. They got a voice. They got this. Not you, asshole. Get in line. You know? Speak your fucking truth. Speak your fucking problems. Speak your whatever reality. But don't try to pretend, okay? It's just not a good look. And it's fake. And you know it. Maybe your heart's in the right place, but you're dumb as fuck. It's just because the problem is you want to swing the pendulum so far in the other direction. You know what I mean? It's like we saw Rodney King getting the shit beat out of him by a bunch of fucking cops back in 1991, 92, somewhere in there. 92. Pendulum swings. We let OJ off. Because of the riots that happened from the other pendulum of Rodney King. When they let the officers go. They did not convict him, any of those officers. Like there was like 9 of them that were beating the fuck out of him with billy clubs and shit. Right? They got off. So riots, pendulum swings, OJ kills his wife, let him off. Okay? That's a pendulum. And we're doing it again. George Floyd, the other gentleman, all these I can't breathe and stuff that, I'm not trying to belittle that, don't take that the wrong way. But all the focus on everyone has a phone now with a camera, and more of it's getting shown, just like the videotape of Rodney King. Like before that there wasn't video, and now there's getting more and more and more and more video, right? It's not that it's happening more, it's just we're seeing it now. And that always makes a difference, right? You can hear a story, but when you see something, it makes a huge difference. Like I can tell you all about my son's passing. And it could be pretty emotional. But if you were there and you saw it, you'd be just as fucked up as me. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. So anyway, when we go to correct things, let's not go in the other direction. Let's not do appropriations. Let's not do something that's going to create more of a rift. Let's not do something that isn't thought out. Simple solutions for complex things. How do you do that? In my opinion, treat everyone the same. What? Yeah, I know. Sounds crazy. But if we do that, then the problems will eventually go away. For the most part. I mean, especially what we're experiencing right now. Because that's the thing, is like we do the Black Lives Matter, and let's just say we did appropriations, right? And let's ask the Native Americans how well that's working out. You know, how many of them are alcoholics? How many of them really love the reservations they live on and their lifestyles and the achievements they've obviously achieved in life, right? Because you hear all about Native Americans doing a bunch of shit lately, right? Right. So anyway, before we fuck them over further and make it to where they just become complete and utter losers and live completely off the system because they'll never have to work a day in their lives, and then basically enslave the white and other races to pay for this, which is, swinging pendulum, fucking kind of being a little fucking stupid, yeah. And it's for the people that didn't experience slavery, so I'm not really sure how that math works out. How we need to pay for the sins of our father's 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 father. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure, because if it was something that all of society was doing at the time, and it was okay at the time, and then we changed over time because we've gotten better, then why are we supposed to pay for the sins of the people that were originally doing it, and then the in-between people that have been making it better, and we're trying to make it better, and then we somehow go and make it worse by doing the punishment that was done to the slave. Now we're going to do it to the other races, or at least the white race. I'm not sure how that makes sense, and you're missing the message of Martin Luther King, when he said not to judge you on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. Yeah, I don't know, man. So anyway, enjoy your last day of freedom. Well, actually, it's almost over. And, everyone has to wear a mask tomorrow and when you go to the store. And if you don't, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh no. You might breathe on somebody. Could be scary. You could breathe on someone. It'd be really fucking scary. It's hilarious. It's funny too, because it's like to think about like a lot of the young kids I've been seeing wearing the masks over the past few months, and it's like, you're the same morons that when you get drunk you'll make out with a total and complete stranger. But you wear that mask in public. That'll save you. Plus, how the fuck am I supposed to smoke with a mask on? Jesus. Anyhow, alright. I've shit on enough things. I don't know how to sign off anymore. I guess I can say I love you all like I said before, and I can talk about the hotline for suicide and give you that number and stuff. I don't know, man. I'm struggling with how I feel and how I feel about people in general. And my friends and family that I still love are the same. That hasn't changed, but I don't know. People are fucked up, man. Spend too much time shitting on each other rather than lifting each other up, Too much time competing with each other. Anyhow. Alright, well, like I said, I'm going to end this bitch. So, we're done. Alright, yep. I'm going to end it. Let's do that. Alright, well, yeah, yep. bcNdc, yeah, podcast, like number 42, 1, somewhere in there. I don't fucking know. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.